These latest shocking revelations by the judiciary come just when the Chief Justice Willy Mutunga was preparing the judiciary to be an independent arbiter in the petitions that could arise from the much anticipated March 4th general election. And as KTN's Otieno now reports, the turn of events is an immediate throwback to the aftermath of the 2007 presidential election, when the then opposition refused to take their grievances to the courts, fearing interference and control from the executive. Is this an attempt to thwart the independence of the judiciary again? Here is Otieno with that report.
The radical reform and empowerment of the judiciary was a critical component of the new constitution passed in 2010, especially after the opposition refused to seek redress from the courts in 2007, saying the courts could not be trusted. The result was the post-election violence of 2007 and 2008. The composition of the leadership of this arm of government was therefore followed keenly by Kenyans, at one time almost tearing the Grand Coalition government apart in January 2011.
And I accordingly declined to make a determination as to whether or not the nominations transmitted to my office by the office of His Excellency the President were or were not constitutionally arrived at.
When Dr. Willy Mutunga was finally chosen as Chief Justice in an open process that got the country's stamp of approval, he hit the ground running in a race to earn back both the trust of the public and the independence eroded by successive executive regimes. He fired the first shot during the Supreme Court's historic first sitting in Nairobi.
We shall not use our independence or interpret the doctrine of separation of powers in the manner that transgresses the domain of the executive or the legislature. But neither shall the Supreme Court flinch nor blink in defending its independence and in executing its judicial mandate with respect to inter-branch relations as proclaimed in the Constitution.
The court has also asserted its authority in matters to do with interpretation of the Constitution and in giving advisory opinions on implementation of the new supreme law.
The first elections under the Constitution can only be lawfully held as follows. 1. In the year 2012, within 60 days from the date on which the national coalition is dissolved by written agreement between the President and Prime Minister in accordance with Section 6B of the National Accord and Constitution Act 2008, or within 60 days from the date of the term of the National Assembly, which is the 15th of January 2013.
The enormity of the Chief Justice Willy Mutunga's outcry about attempts to intimidate and control his office is beginning to sink in, especially after the intensive efforts to entrench the judiciary's independence in the Constitution. Kenyans moved to free the judiciary from the control of the executive in Article 160, Part 1 of the Constitution, which states that in the exercise of the judicial authority, the judiciary shall be subject only to the Constitution and the law, and shall not be subject to the control or direction of any person or authority. The Chief Justice warned in a KTN interview early last month that there are elements in the executive unwilling to accept this fact.
You know, Kenyans have to make sure that I'm alive and safe and present, you know, to say in the fourth president.
According to the Constitution, the Supreme Court shall be the only body with the original jurisdiction to hear and determine petitions relating to the election of the president. This is perhaps why the timing of the fresh attempts to intimidate the Chief Justice has rattled the country. Otieno, KTN Prime.